So I'd like to take you through one of the tools that's available for research, and this is available through our high school library databases, and it's called Gale PowerSearch. Now this is often used in language arts classes when we do our research project, but it's useful in any class where you have to do research. The first thing we're going to do is search a topic. We're going to select genetic engineering and biotechnology. And you'll notice that when the results come back, there are 85 magazine articles, 165 journal entries, 83 books, and 809 news articles. Now that's a lot, but it's not as bad as if we do a Google search. When we search Google for the same topic, we come back with 2,810,000 results. That's the number one reason I recommend kids start with our Gale PowerSearch, because it's simply easier to use with fewer results. Now, 85 magazine articles, 83 books, 809 news entries is still probably too much. But fortunately, Gale PowerSearch comes with something called Topic Finder. Click Topic Finder. Topic Finder will display this circle, which has subtopics and then topics within that subtopic. So for example, vaccines, there's a subtopic of testing. Under food, there's a subtopic of plants. Under agriculture, subtopic of crops. So let me click on that subtopic. And if you scroll down just a little, you see there are 4 articles about genetic engineering and biotechnology related to agriculture and crops. That's much more manageable for a student than dealing with 2.8 million or even 85. So now that I've established the efficiency of using this, I want to show you how we can use the tool to do something even more efficient. Here we are in the article that I've selected, and I'm reading along as the student, and I'm looking for something that can help me with my research. I'm looking for a definition, or I'm looking for a statistic, I'm looking for a point of view, and I come across this sentence. To feed the staggering population, we have only 2 options, either to increase the inherent potential of crops that is only possible through genetic engineering and biotechnology, or to harvest the existing potential through better management practices. I'm going to want to use that idea in my project, so I'm going to click on Notes. When I highlight this sentence, the option pops up to either highlight it or make a note, and I'm going to make a note. So I'll add a note here. 2 options: increase efficiency or use genetic engineering and biotech, and I'll click Save. I'm going to make a couple more notes throughout this article, and I'll be back to show you what we do next. So I've made a few notes throughout this article of information that I thought might be useful for me in my research, and I made several notes as I went through. Now that I'm done reading the article, I'm going to go back up to the top and click on this tool called Highlights and Notes. The Highlights and Notes tool allows me to see all of the notes that I made right next to the text that I highlighted. But this gets even better, because if we click View All Notes, now I see my notes and the text that I was referring to in my notes. I also see the source over here. There's the title of the article, and there's the published source, Technology Times. This is great, but watch what happens when we click Download. Save to Google Drive, download. It tells me that those will be delivered shortly, and when I go into my Google Drive view, I've got this folder labeled PowerSearch, and it's orange. If I open that, there's my notes from just now. These essentially are my note cards. I've got the title of my article, the notes that I left, and the text that led me to make those notes. And then when it comes time for me to be writing my paper, if I want to quote this part from my text, I don't have to go back to the source. I don't have to retype it. I can simply copy and paste that phrase into my paper if I'm a student. So the goal of this is to make the gathering of information simpler and faster so that students can spend more time discerning the information, deciding what's good and what they're going to leave out, and less time worrying about how to make a note card, a skill that's of really little use in the real world. There are also a couple different ways that you can get your citations. You can either use EasyBib if you're comfortable with EasyBib, or you can save that citation to Google Drive like you did your notes. So Gale PowerSearch integrates very well with our Google tools, and we can take advantage of what the tool will do to save our students the struggle of how to create these note cards and or source cards. One last tip: if you decide that you're going to use an article, if you create notes for that article, the next thing I would suggest they do is come up here and click on Save. What Save does is it puts it in your personal folder, which is up here in the More menu. You go to My Folder, and there's the article. So if for some reason they need to go back to the article, there's a quick track back to find it. I hope that helps, and I hope that helps your students no matter what you teach.